I'd like to call the Northwood Selectmen's meeting to order at 6:03. First thing we're going to do, say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Thank you. Is there anybody here to speak on Citizens Forum tonight? I don't see a lot of hands. So I guess we'll move on. We have a public hearing, right?
There's two public hearings tonight. There were two. Steve Bailey canceled. He's sick. So we're dealing with Hal Kreider and the EDC.
Guess it's Hal's turn.
Thank you. Okay, tonight we're talking about the final hearing for the proposed TIF district here in Northwood. We've had several public hearings prior to this. We've also had meetings where we met with, for example, the Conservation Commission and other folks in town. So if I'm repeating stuff or you know stuff, just move me along. But for those that don't know, I'd like to just go over briefly what the TIF district entails. Last year at our voting, the voters gave us the approval to do, quote, TIF districts. This year, we're looking for the approval to actually implement the TIF district, which means we're approving three parts. The district itself, the formation of an advisory board that is appointed by the Selectmen, and then the finance and development plan that's detailed on the website. So, relative to the TIF district itself, it's this area that starts along Route 4, starting basically at Dave Dacco's business, and runs westward through to, the reference I would use is Parker French Realty. And when we actually initially started on this, we sent notes to everybody within the proposed area and said, would you like to be within that TIF district? Everybody said yes. We also sent letters to the abutters and said, this is what we're doing. Would you like to be included? And we talked with at least a couple people, and this plot was also added. In addition, we also included the town land here. There's some explanations, I believe, Joe, you put out some handouts, yeah. So there's some explanations about what a TIF district does, but basically what it is a tool that we could hopefully use to attract some commercial, industrial, or other types of assets to the town. And really the goal is to not reduce our tax base, but to increase the tax base with businesses or companies that maybe wouldn't think about relocating here unless we had something like this to offer them. The other reason for doing it is we don't have zoning. Basically, we have general rules about how we plan and do things. By forming the TIF district, we would at least have an opportunity to say, hey, this is an area where we think as a town this might be a good area to develop something like a commercial industrial area. And the way it would work is, and this is specific to our plan, hopefully we would attract at least a couple to start, but once we get a few businesses in here into this area here that are new, if they build, well, first off, if they buy property, the first thing that happens is it comes out of current use. So there's no change in assessed value at that point, but because it's gone from current use to, I guess, regular use, we would immediately see some increased tax revenues. And then if they build on that, and let's say they build a $500,000 or $1 million building, then the increment of taxes that they pay above and beyond what was there before. So if there's no building and now there's $1 million building there, or several $200,000 buildings, that increment can then be used to fund things like infrastructure, roads, and the like. And that's what we have in the plan. Basically, we would help try to do roads that would go either on this side, in the middle, or perhaps on the end here, with the idea that that might incentivize people to locate here. Because it's using incremental taxes, it's going to be using money that we don't have now. The idea being that, yes, we would use money that is taxed, but it would go towards the infrastructure, and after 20 years, when we've paid off the infrastructure, then that development is now fully taxed, and we have the full benefit of it. So it's really a long-range plan, not a short-term plan for the town. I think the other thing that the TIF district does is it lets us, quote, influence what people do. Now, can we influence it directly? No. People can pretty much do what they want to do. They still have to go through the planning board. They have to go through all the other processes in town. But by being able to offer perhaps some incentives, we might be able to do things like I talked about with the Conservation Commission, where we might say, well, you know, if you want us to help you on maybe some of the road building, maybe you got to think about leaving some of your property natural. Maybe you got to think about letting us use some of the area for trails. So then, for example, the town property might come in play, where if we can put some parking here, then we can access some of these trails. Now, will that become, you know, is that something hard and fast that I can promise? No. Because we don't really know exactly what we're going to attract. But the idea is that at least we have some bargaining chips that we might possibly use. So that's the overall scheme for the TIF. Like I said, it's going to probably take a long time till it would come to fruition. And quite frankly, if we approve it, there's really no guarantees that we'll be able to pull this off. One of the criteria that we have is that we will not put the town at financial risk. There have been other towns that have said, you know, we're going to go float a bond on the assumption that we can pay for this when we attract some businesses. We're not doing that. What our development plan says is we need to attract somebody that is willing to locate here, put the building up, and when we know what building we have and Fred can assess it, we know what taxes are coming in, at that point we can consider what can we pay for in terms of infrastructure and things like that. So we would not put the town at risk financially like has happened in some of the other places. So I think that's a key feature and a key difference to our plans versus others. Now, I will say this, even though there's differences, I've talked with folks in Durham, they're tickled to death with their TIF. I've talked with people in, Joe, where's it, Keene? Yeah, Blackwater. There's also other TIFs around the state. I also traveled to Pennsylvania, where my parents live, and they did a huge TIF in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It was so successful that instead of taking 20 years to pay off the improvements, they paid them off in 6, and they attracted almost double the development that they were expecting. Again, I don't know that we can promise or expect anything like that, but I think it is worth at least a shot, giving us a try to do it. And that's the reason why I'm a proponent of this. So that's the little spiel. Are there questions, or I think we should open it up for public comment, too. So maybe let's take questions first to make sure everybody understands it. Any questions on how it might work, or?
Can you just name the people in the, the landowners?
I can try. I think I have them all here. Well, I can read off what I have written here. So we got Millstone Realty, Ledgewood, Co-Brown, Giles, and Johnson Trust. And then the school property.
Giles owns both those properties?
According to our connotation, Giles owns 3.
Sorry, came a little late. You mentioned 20 years?
Well, what we said in our development plan is that this could last up to 20 years. So what that means is we would have the opportunity for the next 20 years to try to do something here. Now, if as a result, for example, let's say in year 15, we want to cover something that's an infrastructure project that maybe the bonds have to go for 10 years, the bonds will be able to run through that time period. But after 20, that would be when we would stop approving projects, at least for this plan. Now, the other thing I'll mention is, by doing this, that doesn't stop us from creating TIFs elsewhere. It doesn't stop us from doing anything else relative to economic development within town. But I've been here for 10 years, and I've not really seen a whole lot of development like this. I know I've talked to a lot of people who said, well, we don't want the development to be in our face and things like that. So we started looking for areas where we could be on Route 4, but most of it would be back off the main road where it would be out of sight. So that was one of the reasons for thinking about this area here. The other reason was that, as we pointed out, there's relatively few landowners, so it probably will be a little bit easier to coordinate. That said, there's, again, no guarantees as to what's going to happen. But that was the other factor in terms of looking at this area. The other is that it's a fairly large area. This compromises about 300, I'm not sure if it's 300 or 350 acres, but there's parcels here and there within the town that are available. But if we wanted to attract somebody that wanted a big campus or something like that, you need more than 10, 12 acres. You need something significant to do that. And again, I don't know whether we'll be successful or not, but I would use as the example in Barrington where they have TurboCam, and at its current development stage, that's generating $300,000 to $400,000 worth of tax revenue a year. Now again, that wouldn't kick in until after we go through all the development and infrastructure projects, but in the long term, I think it can help the town. And that's why I'm interested in putting my time into doing this. Go ahead, Bruce.
Thank you, Rob. One of the questions I have is there 10 lots? Did I hear 10 lots, the other 9 14?
Yeah, I don't have a count, Bruce. I mean, we can count them off now if you want.
Okay, that's fine. But
The reason I hesitate was there's several smaller lots along the front. For instance, Parker French has 3 alone right in the front. And then you've got, like this little one here and stuff.
but
So.
you're willing to develop the 10 lots. I'm going to break up 10 lots all of that.
To make 10 lots?
Yes.
To be very honest with you, I don't know.
Okay.
So what I am interested in is starting the process and seeing what kind of things we can get in terms of what people might be interested in. And let me just go on for one point. We thought about some other, as the Economic Development Committee, we thought about, what other ways might we look to attract businesses. And, first actually, I think it was you that mentioned, I think maybe we gave Hannaford some tax rates and stuff. What my sense of the situation is if, and it's one of the reasons why we're going for all three parts of this year, is if we were to say to somebody that, let's say we get a hot prospect, and we say to them, well, you know what, we got to wait till town election and see what happens there, and then if there's a town election, we got to wait and see what else we can get approved before we can actually write up a development agreement with you. By having this in hand, I think that gives us the ability to strike while the iron's hot. And again, will that give us an advantage or not? I don't know, but I'd like to try. Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
Okay. Is there a certain amount or a limit of the cost of the building? In other words, $250,000, or does it have to be $1 million building in order to completely build the infrastructure?
That's an excellent question. And the way I envision it, okay, is that we will probably start small, meaning that we might get some smaller businesses, some smaller warehouses, things like that, maybe mechanic shops and heavy equipment shops or something like that. And that might enable us to fund part of the road. But that in turn might attract more people that lets us get the next part of the road in. So ultimately, it could be done piecemeal. I think you have to, as you know, in the construction business, you have to sort of think about what's a logical next step in terms of what to build. If you build every 2 feet, well, it's going to be pretty darn expensive. But maybe if you're building 1,000 feet at a pop, that might be reasonable. But as you know then, to do 1,000 feet of road, you're going to need a certain investment at $27 a thousand to be able to pay off a 20-year bond. You can pretty much back calculate that, and I've done some different calculations, but yeah, there's definitely some trade-offs there. And if, one big business came in, maybe we would be able to do it all at once. But my guess is, don't know.
Okay, and then I have just one other question.
Sure.
What is your thoughts on the impact of the other real estate in town who cannot offer that incentive? So if you have another individual in another part of town who has a parcel of land that could be used for that same business structure, his land is going to be worth less because it cannot offer what you people offer.
Well, I think this is the point. We are not limited per se by what we define the TIF district as. We have to start someplace. I don't want to make it too complicated, but we could, if people are interested, add a second TIF district. I even looked up the regulations because you had forewarned me about this. There's nothing that says the TIF district even has to be contiguous. Now, I don't know whether there's some precedent or things like that, but if other folks think that that's an important feature, we could look at doing that next year. So I guess that's the one answer to it, Bruce. But the other answer is, I think by attracting business to town, if we can, I think that will help all our values, and in turn, that would attract and give us the chance to help other people's values too.
It will only help our values after the 20-year period. But in the meantime, in that 20-year period, we're not generating any revenue into the general fund from that. And you had spoke the other night and said that there's an increase in building within the next 15 years. You said it was going to...
Oh, for houses, yeah.
For houses.
Yeah.
So the only revenue we are going to have in that 15-year period is the home revenue, the new home building revenue.
Correct.
Versus the business revenue,
Yeah.
which the home revenue ends up costing us more money
Right.
than that.
Right. I think the way I look at it, and I'm not telling you got to look at it this way, is right now, and I think the example I used the other night was, I think this property, it might be $62 a year, maybe it's $62 every 6 months, but we don't really get any revenue from some of these to speak of. And I think if we could at least start down the path where we can get some revenue from it, yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's a long-term plan. It's not an overnight plan, and I wouldn't even want to promise that something would happen quickly. But I think from an overall perspective, if we don't start down a path like that, we might be stuck where we're at, forever.
Well, there's nothing that says it can't happen. You could have a developer come in and purchase it. It's not like it's not ever going to happen unless we do this.
That's correct.
So
Yeah.
it can still happen.
Yes, but in the 10 years that I've been in town, I've not really seen anything. And when I talk to other folks, I'm not getting the sense that that's the case. Now, maybe the economy's changing, you have an election, things are changing, and maybe this thing will catalyze on itself. But even with that, Bruce, I would say by having an area where we designate, even if we don't use any of the tax money, we just say, whatever's built, let the tax money roll right back in, I think we have at least a better chance of talking to somebody about saying, hey, here's an area where we think is a good area to do something like this. Doesn't mean we preclude other areas, but it gives us a chance to say, hey, here's where we've got at least some agreement with the town folks that this might be a good area to put some commercial and industrial. Because we don't have zoning. And, one of the things that I've heard, now, do I know it for a fact? Don't know. But I've heard that one of the things that hurts us is we don't have specific zoning areas. And I can say from where I lived in Hudson, that did make a difference when we could say this area is designated for commercial and industrial. Because then people came in and they knew what to expect when they went to the planning board. Here in Northwood, yes, we have our processes and procedures, but as you know, they're very similar they're pretty much the same for everybody. So I think that would make somewhat of a difference. I don't know whether that scares folks off or not, but I guess the other thing I'd say is I'm basically trying to work, and understand that. I'm going to meetings like, I don't know what it's called, cyber, commercial, industrial,
Commercial investment.
something like. But I'm going to all those meetings on a monthly basis to try to learn some more of this. So I think as we move along and grow on this, I think we'll get a better picture and maybe figure out how best to play this. But like I said before, I think I'd like to at least have a shot at doing this as opposed to just saying, we can't really do anything here.
Richard Lewin, how much total tax money would be giving up on an annual basis? You know that for these properties?
Well, all of this is in current use. So right now, like I said, I forget, one of these properties, I just happened to pull one of these is $62 a year. So, like I said before, if even just by designating this and somebody gets interested in this and buys it and takes it out of current use, let's say they spend $100,000 on it, well, then we're getting $2,700 instead of $62.
What about like carpet crunch, is that part of it too?
Yes, this is all part of it here.
All right, so their taxes would go down, or what do they pay for taxes?
Their taxes would not change. The TIF district is only based, and this is, I think, maybe something I did not emphasize. The TIF district, and Fred, you're going to call me on this if I goof it, is the funds that you use for the TIF district to pay for infrastructure and things like that are only coming from the incremental change in asset values. So, what's the change in incremental asset value? Well, somebody puts a building on there. It wasn't on there before, but now it is. So that change, we could use the taxes for that to pay for some infrastructure. We couldn't use the land because that land was already there, already assessed. There will be a difference in how much tax we get out of it because it's not in current use, but that's not because of the TIF district or the incremental taxes. It's only because of the change in tax status.
So it's like, for lack of a better example, the apartment French there. So their tax, let's say their taxes are $1,000 a year.
Right.
So their taxes are going to stay the same.
Because there's no change in their building, there's no change in their asset. There's no change in their asset value, so there's no change in their taxes.
But if they put an addition in, then
That-
incremental value.
Yes, we could use that if we choose to. But again, I'll emphasize, this whole thing is based on our development plan, which says we will not put the town at risk. We will, if there's incremental taxes, collect those first, and then, once we have the money in hand, use it for, the actual improvements. And that is a key difference. Jim Hadley actually was the first one to mention this. Is it Nottingham, I think, is on the hook for $1 million, $1.8 million? Some fairly big number, because they went out on the limb. And we said in our plan, and that's what we have to adhere to, we will only use what money is actually generated once the building is there. So, yeah. Are we going to, does it make it more difficult to find somebody that might be interested in doing it that way? You bet. But I don't feel comfortable taking a different approach. I just don't, and I wouldn't support that, and I wouldn't be trying to do it that way. So really, it's, that the key in understanding this is that incremental tax, and that's what we would use to fund all this. With the idea that after the infrastructure is paid off, well then all those incremental taxes then accrue back to the town going forward from that. So let's say, just for talking purposes, that there's an extra $100,000 of incremental tax that we use to pay off $500 worth of road improvements. When that's all paid off, that $100,000 a year now flows into the town, and we can use it to support the schools, the municipal services, and things like that. So no, it's not a quick cure, that's for sure. And are we giving something up? We might be. As Bruce said, hey, somebody might show up and be willing to build without this. So yeah, we might be giving something up. But what I've seen so far says, I'm not so sure that we are. But, I can understand that people might feel that way. And, if that's the case, then this isn't for you. Be blunt.
So this is still all going to fall underneath the zoning board, and all the planning board will have all their stuff into that?
Excellent question. Excellent question. This does not change any of our regulations, rules, requirements. Anybody that wants to build here still has to go through the planning process. They still have to meet all our municipal code. There's no special, no special treatment for folks here.
Out of the 302 acres that you're proposing, how much of it's actually buildable property? I apologize, I haven't been,
No, it's a good
with all the
question.
wetlands, and I'm sure you have the little brooks and stuff like that, I see developing wise a difficult task, especially if they're following, have to go with the planning and zoning as it sits now. How are they, what's the incentive is gonna be asked, what's the incentive for me to build on that when I have to still go through all the regular
You
zoning and
still
planning?
do. The only incentive is that you might get some support from us to help on the infrastructure. The other part of that is, and I'm glad you mentioned the water and stuff, I think also looking at this holistically, which means we can talk to people about their development and planning a little bit more holistically. Can we force them to do it holistically? No, but if we have a little incentive for them, it might help. So, for example, trying to mitigate how we deal with wetlands and things like that. Maybe by considering that we now don't just have this lot or just this lot, but please think about how we might route or do things by looking at it a little bit more holistically. Maybe we can make it easier and better for everybody involved. But I'll go back to what I said before. You know, one of my goals is that, for example, a certain portion of this, and I'm thinking, you know, like what they call there's a term for it, but the sustainable world concept. Maybe we can talk people into leaving 50% of this undeveloped. So to answer your question,
So you're thinking maybe 25 to 30% of that 302 acres is probably really honestly buildable?
I would guess that order of magnitude 30% is probably eminently buildable, and if you can work some other things and take advantage of maybe being able to, you know, route the roads a little bit more judiciously because you're thinking about it as a whole, maybe you can boost that up. I mean, one of the reasons why I think, again, it's a carrot type thing, so you can't force people to do it. But for example, I watched in Hudson, where I used to live, where they didn't take that approach because they hadn't at that point designated areas and things. And each individual one did whatever they could to maximize theirs, which really wasn't the maximum that you could do if you had thought holistically. And when we finally started talking about business parks on a much broader basis, that's when I think we really started to see the efficiency and really better development, quite frankly. I mean, there are some places that just, I'll be honest, I don't think really got developed very well, but the people did it that way because that, you know, they only were thinking about their particular plot. So, Mr. Young.
Just, two concerns. One is just going back to this idea of the increment tax. I hear what you're saying. What people are currently being taxed, meaning commercial properties that are along Route 4, the town will continue to get that tax.
Absolutely.
And because I mean, you've been using examples of backland.
Yeah.
So really, I'm looking at the commercial property.
Yeah. So
all
this,
that will continue to come back into the town budget, and it will only be any changes above that tax rate that would be used for the TIF district tax advantage.
exactly, with one exception.
Yes.
With one exception. It's, you know, like in this case, Parker French.
Right.
Let's just use them. They're paying the school tax, they're paying the municipal tax, they're paying the county tax, and they're paying the state education tax.
Right.
Okay? If somebody were to build a building here, we would be able to use the town portion, the school portion, the county portion, but not the state education portion. The state always gets the state's education portion. Yeah. But to that point, Bob, you know, one of the things we had to do is we had to go do the same discussion with the county commissioners. Now, they seemed pretty happy about it because they said, well, really, you know, unless something good happens otherwise, this might be a chance to actually increase our revenues. Maybe not right now, but, you know, in the future, if they're patient.
So my next question had to do with the limitation of residential housing coming into the city. We're looking at this as being industrial and commercial, which has a large advantage in terms of services needed. Is there anything that can prohibit residential areas going in there and using the TIF advantage?
Not per se, other
Because they don't
than
have an incremental change.
the advisory board may say, maybe that's not something we want to incentivize, so we aren't going to offer that.
But you could.
You could. You could. But I think in terms of the board members, and the board has to consist of 3 landowners, selectmen, rep to the planning board, and then a member at large. So those folks would be the ones recommending projects to the selectmen, who would then have to ultimately approve the implementation. But yes, to answer your question, technically speaking, you could, but as a town, we wrote up in our plan that we want to use this to increase our net tax base, meaning that we want to use it for things other than, as somebody said, a house which may actually end up costing more in services than maybe it brings in revenue.
So that portion is just a little bit iffy.
Yeah. Well, Bob, I'm going to be blunt with you. There's a lot of things on here that, when you step on them, they might be a little squishy. Because I can't tell you who's interested here. And, we may find out that even though we do this, it doesn't change the level of interest one bit. Okay, now, I don't mind that. I'm willing to put the effort in and give it a shot. So, to me, at least we try. But I can't guarantee that. Now, going back to the housing, we may want to consider some things. So, like if somebody came in and said, "Ooh, I'd like to put an assisted housing business in here," well, maybe that is something you might decide that you would recommend as something where you might help with the infrastructure on that. Because the net impact on the schools and stuff could actually be positive from a tax benefit basis. So, yeah, so I wouldn't, it's almost like you got to talk specifics to get the answer that you want. So I wouldn't say that I wouldn't even say to you, what's the word? I wouldn't say we'd be against housing, especially, like I say, something like an assisted living or even housing for elderly or something like that. But I think we want to think about what it does to the tax base of the town as to whether or not we incentivize it.
In doing some discussion, this is just more common, doing discussions with other towns where they have looked at this sort of commercial development. Besides roads, the biggest problem had to do with sewer and water, particularly in attracting much more than, say, sheet manufacturers.
We may be completely stymied on this, Bob. I mean, it may turn out, and I mean, just as an example, I'm hoping, based on my contacts with the economic development person at UNH, that we're going to actually get to talk to several of the realtors and people that do this type of stuff, and we'll start to learn some more of those parameters and what types of businesses and things like that we need to focus on if we want to attract them. And you might be right. I mean, the parameters that we are dealt, they may severely limit us. And that's why I don't think I can make promises that, we'll have a new business in there next year or 5 years. We might be at 0 in 5 years. But like I said, I'd like to give it a try.
So the way I'm understanding it, I guess, is like, you guys I think are looking for like turbo can buildings. What happens if somebody wanted to buy the Giles property behind Parker French Antique, put up a house and a barn, raise like 1,000 beef cattle? That's a commercial operation. So it's all, but it's up to the board. If it passes, and then 6 months down the road, I buy that piece of land from the Giles or whoever owns it. I'm still under the rules and regulations of the board advisory to do what I want with that land?
The landowner can do whatever they want. Let's make that clear.
So I can buy that piece of land even though I'm in the TIF district and just say, stay off my property?
Yeah. The landowner, you have to look at it more the other way, I guess I'd say. This is a tool that we could use to perhaps entice a certain type of landowner. But if somebody decides they don't want to sell, they don't have to sell. If somebody decides, like you said, I want a back area retreat, I still want to be able to get to Route 4 somehow. We can't. You know, as long as they pass the zoning, pass the planning board, meet all the, you know, occupancy requirements and things like that, there's nothing that stops it. The TIF does not change any of that. Until from a, I guess, at least for the folks I've talked to, they don't view it as a negative, they view it as possibly a positive. I mean, actually, you know, to tell you the truth, the biggest comment I got was, I hope I don't have to go to too many meetings. I would say those were great questions. Are there some more? How about the selectmen? Any?
I kind of, when this was presented to the board, I kind of looked at this as, let's, kind of what Hal's saying, let's try and see what happens. I don't think there's any risk to the town by trying it out. I think it's, possibly, we'd try it and it could be an opportunity, or it could be nothing. But it's just, I don't think it costs any money to try it.
No, and that is very specific to our development plan. But I guess I would say, if we try it and we are successful, the statutes allow, I'm going to say, up to 10% of the, there's some percentage limits on the overall town or overall assessed value, I forget which, in terms of how much property can go into TIF districts. But I think if we're successful, you know, we could look at either adding to this or adding others. But I'd like to use this one as at least a chance to learn, like you said, Scott, learn what we can do and learn how it works.
So are we gonna try it for 20 years?
That's what the development plan says. Again, that doesn't mean that people can't do something else. And, you know, Bruce, you mentioned, you know, a couple other things that we might do to help entice businesses in town. Doesn't stop us from doing those either. And I didn't mention it, but I certainly would be willing to work with you on some of those that you mentioned. So it doesn't stop us from doing that, but it does maybe give us a tool, and that's really all.
Well, I guess his question is, if I may, Hal, 20 years, I mean, I think you would know within a couple years whether people had any interest in this. I don't think you would do it. I think we'd know within the first 2 years if somebody had some kind of interest in it.
Well, I think what we'll find is, let me say it a different way. We'll find out, I think, relatively quickly what kind of interest and what types of businesses, to Bob's point, and things like that, might be suitable or might be good candidates. But I think it might take us 20 years to really attract and get it fully developed. And if you look at East Concord, I mean, you know, 20, 30 years ago, that was pretty barren. And it took a while, but that's pretty thriving now. But that didn't happen overnight. And if we try this, you know, it might take us 20 years to fill it up. But yeah, no, I think, you know, we're going to push on this. We're going to talk to realtors. We're going to talk to other folks in the economic development business. We're going to talk to the state. We'll know relatively soon what some of the parameters are and what some of the limitations are. But like I said, by having this in our back pocket, we can at least act relatively directly, as opposed to, for example, having to wait for another town vote or other types of town approval. This will give us a chance to move forward right away when we have a hot one.
One of the points that you just made raises a question in my mind.
Sure.
And that is the idea of the development in East Concord, which I have seen happen over the past 30 years. And I was also thinking about what I saw, I think, on the town website, which says that Northwood's population doubles in the summertime. We're about 4,000 residents year-round and about 8,000 residents. Was it on our?
I think it was 10, to tell you the truth.
Usually the number I hear thrown around is, like, right now we got about 4,200 residents, but in the summertime, when goes up too close to 10,000.
Yeah, I think it's 10.
Well, one of the things that occurred to me as I was thinking about this kind of thing, economic development in town, is what is our economic base now? And is it the, summer recreational influx that really kind of powers our economic base? People who live elsewhere, work in places like Boston, and are able to afford taxes on home on a lake in Northwood, and go to Johnson's Dairy Bar on every summer night.
Well, I think there's
East Concord,
some of that. I think there's some of that you mentioned. I think what you're starting to see, though, is more and more of those houses are starting to become full-time residents and stuff like that. So I think it's changing. Now, how fast it changes and, what it changes to, that I don't know. But, yeah, I think there's well, I shouldn't really speak as an expert per se, but I think even within the areas of town, there's some differences on that. If I think about, like, Jen's Pond, I think maybe some of what you're saying is true, but I'm not so sure that's true about, for example, Northwood Lake or maybe even Harvey Lake anymore. Just my impression, no facts to back that up, but that's sort of the impression I have.
You kind of put us into the same category as Keene, Durham, and Hudson and Concord, I think we're a little bit small in that.
We're quite a bit smaller.
I mean, what other little small towns that you know of have organized this and?
Well, I think, if I may, I think if you take a look at Epping 25 years ago,
Yeah, Epping's a good example.
Epping was nothing 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah, but I
Probably
think,
very similar to Northwood. Look at it now.
well, I think the one thing, though, that's a little bit different about what we're talking about here, Scott, is, and again, my opinion.
Well, Epping's right on 101.
They're right on 101, and they put a lot of the development right there in everybody's face, whereas what at least we're trying to do here is get it back and out of the way a little bit. So I would say that's a little bit different, but yeah,
But I was saying from a population standpoint,
Yeah.
if you go back 25, 30 years ago, not anymore, Epping's a lot bigger than us now, but once upon a time, they were both same-sized towns.
Any other
Population.
small towns you know of, just
I'd have to go back and look at the list again. I didn't really think about it from a population perspective. We tried to focus on ones where,
Well, Peterborough, how big was Peterborough before they did it? I mean, were they about 8,000?
no,
They're not that big.
I think they're more like 12.
Yeah, 12 or 15.
Yeah, and, some of that is, to answer that question, you have to think about the sort of
I got Google right here.
But Keene.
Wanna ask Siri?
Now, there's an interesting
all the
one.
names you read off of cities, we're towns, so I think there's a little bit of a
I think there's a huge difference.
difference.
Yeah, well, there is, and I wanted to make that point. There's a lot of folks.
Peterborough is actually 6,284 people.
There you go. And incidentally, Durham is
Nice.
only 6,000 people also. I did not know that. 6,000 non-student residents, non-college student residents. So, and they have a very nice tip in their downtown. People talk.
Actually, Durham is 14,638. Yeah.
He's on it tonight.
Not according to the economic development person.
Okay.
And I think that includes the students, Scott.
Yeah, but do you think their businesses are thriving because of the college
Oh, yeah.
influx?
I'm sure that's a good part of it.
It's a huge difference
Yeah.
that we don't have here,
Not yet.
I guess. Your dreams are high.
But, I mean, to your point, though, I mean, those are some of the differences. And I think we give it a try and we see what we can attract. We might not be successful, but I would certainly like to give it a try. I'll just say that. I'm sorry,
The TIF in Durham or Peterborough, whichever one you're more familiar with, what type of businesses do they have in there? And where's it located?
well, actually, I think the one when I said Peterborough, I think I misspoke, because it's actually in Keene, and it's on the outskirts of town there. And they have a model that's sort of similar to what I would like to do, which is 4 or 5 relatively large businesses.
Okay.
Whereas downtown Durham, as you might expect, you know,
Which they're all set up for municipal sewers and water, already set up for that situation, so it's easy to transition those pieces
Yes.
of land.
well, but that was part of the infrastructure too. You know, it was part of, and like I said to Bob, yeah, that might influence what we can attract. I mean, you know, we have to work within what we have. But I guess to answer your question directly, I more go on the Keene model, which is, you know, and what happened there, at least initially, I think their sort of inflection point was like 5 businesses. They figured we need to have the equivalent of five relatively large businesses, and I don't mean, you know, like hundreds of people, but, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 people, to be able to justify the infrastructure that goes with bringing them in. And that was their hurdle.
Did they have sewer system in place, or?
That, Joe, do you remember?
The sewer system in place.
Yeah.
So for their tip, they were close enough that they had sewer system?
I'd have to go back and look in the detail. The last time I read this was, you know, probably 6 months ago. I'm like, I don't remember all those details. And then, like I said, Durham, you know, different situation. It's only a certain area within the town. It's not the whole downtown area. It was only like I think she said a 6-block area. I'm actually going to tour that, not this coming month, but the following month. I have meetings with the economic development folks from the whole region here, all smaller towns, not the large seacoast towns, but all the smaller towns. So like Barrington, Stratford. I could
Al,
go through-
if there's any new questions,
Yeah,
because
sorry.
I mean, if there's new questions, a new discussion, I'm more than happy to continue the public hearing, but is there any new comments or in? Okay.
Should we
Any-
mention that they could come to our meeting in March? That's before voting.
Yeah, we have an EDC meeting on Wednesdays at 7. So if you have more questions, you can come to that. I'm also going to show up down at the Northwood Diner. I'm not sure which mornings yet, but I'm going to start eating breakfast down there. And I'm going to have handouts. And I'm also thinking about going to the Mazamimes on a different morning. So there's some economic development there too. We'll post it on the website when I'm going to be there, so at least people, if they want to join me for breakfast, or at least stop by and pick up some more information, they can. But yeah, Judy, that's a great idea. Come out on Wednesday. Really,
What day is that going to be?
The first one.
first Wednesday of every month. Really, if you have any other ideas, and Bruce, I mean what I meant what I said. If you have other thoughts in terms of how to improve things,
They're right here.
come and talk to us, and we'll work together with you. I mean, I'm really interested in helping any way I can.
Is there any further discussion or new discussion? Okay, seeing that, I'm gonna close the public hearing.
Wow, that was a bit abrupt. I was just wound up.
Yeah, you just,
That's what we were afraid of.
for an hour.
Yeah.
All right,
Good job, Al.
next thing on the agenda,
Could have been done like 20 minutes ago.
do we have Lynn Sweet here? Would you like to come up to the table?
Official table?
Yes. I don't know if it's official, but
Table.
It's the table. Hello, sirs. My name is Lynn Sweet. I am from Stratford, and I am here to talk about a piece of land that abuts one of my large parcels that I own. Hope you don't mind if I give you some.
Thanks.
So my husband and I own what they call the old Cooper lot, which is in orange, and you own the lot that's in green. So I am here today to see if I can, well, actually, I am making an intent to purchase, if I could, that piece of property. And I
Turn the mic. They're having a hard time hearing.
don't talk loud enough.
No, just talking.
Talk to
Talk into it.
Too fancy. I don't think, is it working? Can you? Okay. So that way you guys can see. I only have one more if you want to pass it around. So my husband and I purchased 160 acres in Stratford in 2014. It has a conservation easement on it held by Bear Paw and the town of Stratford. We are now working with the easement holders and NRCS with a working management plan. So we have been watching all the other lots on the other side of ours, which is all in Northwood, Rockingham County, that have had extensive harvests on them. We prefer that the next lot not be the town lot that has an extensive harvest on it. So we're here today, my husband and I, to make an offer to purchase that property from the town of Northwood. So you have that property right now assessed at 26.8. I do have an intent to offer.
I'm gonna hold up
Sure.
right now.
Yep.
Usually, when we go in negotiations
Yep.
for property, that should be held in non-public.
That sounds perfect. Can I give you at least my offer, without telling everybody in the world what it is?
I would recommend we hold off on that.
I'm gonna
These
recommend-
Town properties
This
are
is
usually,
anything, I just like, and this is right in the RSA's too,
Yes,
under
it
the
is.
right to know law.
Yep.
Whenever you get into negotiations about town property and certain things,
Yep.
it's supposed to be held, well, it should be held in non-public, and it's right under, if you look at RSA
Yep,
91A.
Totally understandable.
Okay,
I do want to point out that I have had sent 2 other letters to the selectmen over the past year about this property and have not heard back at all. So
did you
that's
send them directly to the
Sent them
selectmen, or did
directly
you
to
send
the
it to the
selectmen's-
town, like,
the selectmen's office.
okay, and were they addressed to me, or,
They were addressed to the selectmen.
okay,
So I've sent 2 letters without any response, so that's why today I asked to be put on the agenda. And that's why I'd like to give this
Sure.
to you, again, a letter.
okay.
So if that is okay, I mean,
I would like, I mean, when we're in public session,
Yep.
anything that you presented to us at this time
Yep.
would be public information, and I think that when we get into a purchase of town property, usually that's held in non-public.
Sure, so should I, under your advisement, remail this for the 3rd time?
Can we just go into
I-
non-public?
We can,
guys, per town regulations, properties of this size go out to bid.
that's my whole thing.
By receiving this bid unsealed would
I can't-
would cause a
See,
problem with our
normally,
regulations.
normally these go out to auction.
Yep, I completely
And we
understand.
do that, and you can bid on them.
Yep,
We haven't really got into a discussion about selling properties at this point.
yep.
So I was kind of like, I saw the agenda tonight. I know, my understanding is this is landlocked.
It is. So the reason why my husband and I reached out to you guys over the year is because we did want to show that we had interest in this property. I know that as a selectman in the town of Stratford, that we do put up our properties for sale. We do send out a letter to all the abutters saying that, hey, we're taking sealed bids. I assumed that this letter would eventually get to you. Obviously, it had not. So that's why I decided to come in person to do it this way.
Yeah.
And I respect the RSAs and what needs to be done, but I just want to, if I mail this again, I hope that I get some
Well, I
sort of,
can't.
hopefully I get a response.
I'm actually, and fine, I'm very surprised that it didn't come to us. I can't think why it wouldn't come to us, but until tonight, this is the first I've heard of this. So I apologize if you've sent these in and nobody's responded to you.
And that's the only reason why I came tonight
Yeah.
was, again, I'll drop it in the mail again with our intent, and hopefully that I get some sort of response from the 3 of you, whether it's, we have to follow the RSAs, blah, 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 but I do hope that I do get some sort of formal response.
Okay. I mean, it's obvious that, now that I know about it, I'll inform our town administrator to be on the lookout for the letter.
I appreciate it. Should I send them, 3 of them individually, or?
Well, I'm just gonna go out on a limb here. If you send it here, I think you only need to send one.
Okay,
If you want to make sure I shouldn't say this, I think now that we've been here, we're expecting it. And I think Joe is writing a note that he's expecting this letter. So if you
Perfect.
plan on sending it, and actually, if it makes you feel better, if you want to come back or put it in a sealed envelope,
Yep,
you could also do that. They could take it at the counter.
okay, perfect, I can
I
drop
mean, you
that
don't
off.
have to mail it. It just,
Yep.
I would suggest at this point, it be sealed.
Okay,
But typically, he is correct. Since I've been a selectman, most of the sales, we have sold small lots to abutters, like when they're really not buildable
Yep.
lots. But usually on these bigger parcels, we put them out to bid.
yep, which is perfectly fine.
All right?
I just, again, was more of,
Yeah.
want to bring it to the
Yep.
attention.
No, and I'm aware of it now.
Perfect, I appreciate
you.
your time, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Okay.
Next up, you have Fred Smith.
Fred, yeah, I got it. Fred, you want to go over some assessing stuff, I guess? I think this is from about a week, our last meeting, we had a question about something.
My understanding, there was a question on the open space land that's part of the Pender Road.
Yeah, and I think, it was,
Just to go back on that, the Pender Road development 10, 12 years ago, when it was approved by the town, part of the requirements was that it maintained open space. Technically, it could have come out, it was all in current use at that time. It could have come out of current use at that time, but right now, for whatever reason, it didn't. This is just a try to clear up. Because it's designated as open space, it can't be developed, it can't be sold. It has, the value of that property is encompassed in all the lots that around it. It's essentially similar to a road. When we have a development, we don't tax the road. In all the lots that were out there have all paid, at one point or another, have paid current use.
I think it's quite, and the question came from the board, not an individual. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't ask the question, but somebody on the board.
I did.
So you got 48 acres right now that they're paying taxes in current use.
No, their value, their market value is zero. They were technically part of the development, and everything was in current use.
So you're saying this is like a road, so there's no value to it?
It can't be sold, and it can't be developed. And
I thought each piece of this like somehow goes into the whole area.
well,
It makes these people's properties more valuable because they
And-
have the current use.
and that's correct, and they are taxed at 10%. If they weren't in this development, they'd be 10% less. They've all paid current use taxes. We've collected over about $200,000 on the development out there in current use, change in use taxes over the years.
My understanding, this is just a correction of the files.
It could have been done, should have been done probably 12 years ago, just to designate it, that it's open space required for that development, because we have a lot of lots, so the lots aren't all, they were permitted as essentially like a high density, a cluster zoning. And this is, we have several places in town that over the years have been developed like this, and the open space land is, technically, it can't be sold, it has no specific value. It's all encompassed in the, 50 lots that are out there. They're all a little more
So it's like the
valuable.
symbol, like it's town land.
The problem I have with it, people have some of it posted right now, and that isn't part of the deal.
Then-
If it's open space land, it's supposed to be accessible by anybody that wants to walk across it. And we're losing an evaluation on this by putting it into that. Plus, the guy that owns the development stripped all the timber off it a year ago, slaughtered it, and now he wants to give the land up and get a tax credit. That's the problem I have with
I
it.
didn't hear anything, from my understanding, what was cut, and that was the lots that hadn't been developed yet.
No, that's false.
That
is
Well, he's the
false.
assessor.
I don't care if he's the assessor or
what
not,
I'm
it's
tell-
false.
Yeah, but what I'm telling you is.
And I'm not gonna
he's-
listen to it.
He's not gonna know who's cutting on it?
Well, we know, we were notified by the people, Scott.
Okay.
That's the problem I have with it.
then the remedy is in the agreement that the town had, the homeowners association or the town can challenge that. I'm not sure that the homeowners association may be the only ones that are allowed as part of the development, but it's written into the agreement, into the approval from the town. It spells out who's responsible to oversee what happens with the current use, what happens with the open space land. My concern is simply
So right now, I guess this question, like, we have a document right here, it's 24.1 acres, right?
That's what it says on this piece of paper.
Yeah.
All right, so right now, it's valued at about $7,500.
And we're going to nothing from there by allowing this to happen.
What part?
This is something, Joe, do you have
No,
a
those are
copy
two
of
different
this?
lots. You're looking at two different lots. The $7,500 from the past was lot 215.
So which one is
This,
this?
you're looking at map 210, lot 86. There were two parcels that came in on the same day. One was a building lot. This is the one that was not a building lot.
Yeah.
So how many acres is this parcel?
This parcel is 4817.
So it's 48 acres?
48 acres that by the town that is not buildable.
This is not buildable.
It's restricted by the town when they approve the subdivision, that it can't be built on, it can't be developed. Has to remain open. I think the restrictions allowed the homeowners association, not necessarily the general public, but that's part of whatever the town.
That's wrong.
Well, that's whatever the agreement
If I may
is.
offer a suggestion, which is, but we're gonna have to table this again. I think you need to pull out the agreement with the town. There should be an agreement
There is.
with the town, so that Rick can see who, like, he might say, the agreement might say the homeowners association can harvest it.
I'm not sure.
But we don't,
It's
what I'm
part of
saying,
the
we don't
deed.
know what it says until we look at it, right?
I can go and see if I can pull it now. It's part of the deed in that, but in terms of the current use, that is a separate issue than the current use.
And I would imagine the homeowners association, if they do harvest it, takes the money to reduce the cost of the.
Not sure that the homeowners association can harvest it.
They cannot
And
harvest.
in the open space land has been held by the homeowners association, for what it's worth, for the last 10 years anyway.
So I guess
if someone else went out there and did something to it, the homeowners association are supposed to be the first ones to tell them they can't do it.
We all know it was done. Joe knows about it, I know about it, Scott knows about it. There was probably $10,000 worth of timber cut off that piece of property.
So I guess
in the
why-
last 6 months.
So I guess the question to here goes, why did that happen?
That piece of property does not belong to the town of Northwood, and Northwood has no skin in the game to say per that property. The homeowners association did come to us and requested us to look at it several months ago. The building inspector went out, inspected it, along with the forester who approved the cuts. It was a maintenance cut, according to the forester. Him and Dale, the building inspector, went out, inspected it, and we sent a letter back to the homeowners stating that this was a cut, and there were no more cuts intended for the foreseeable future.
So they stole all the red oak off it, many tractor and trailer loads of it. I'd say it was more than a type of cut that you said it was. Not that you said that,
Yeah.
but I know that came from somebody else, but there was a lot of lumber taken off that piece of land.
So I guess my question is, and just to move this along,
That's several different issues.
Yeah, there is, but
So-
we're giving up more tax money too by taking this
But I
and
don't-
doing what we're doing with it now.
I think in the way I understand it is we really don't have a choice, we have to do this.
I don't know about that.
Oh.
I don't understand.
Because we're not getting, It's valued at this now, but we're not really billing anybody for these taxes,
Right now,
correct?
that 41 acres has been valued at 0 and has been for 10 years. The value of that open space land is transferred to the homeowner, the individual lots, in the same fashion that the Village Cove Homeowners Association, they own the roads. Their property is worth a bit more because the roads, service them, they're in better shape, but it's a similar type thing. We have a lot of private roads, we have several developments like this that over the years that were approved with open space. In terms of that open space, it's like a road, it can't be sold, what's the value of something that can't be sold?
Still should be worth something.
Well, it is, but it's encompassed in those 50 or 60 lots that are out there. They're all more valuable because of it.
I want to see where they're really paying for it. I want a determination of what they're paying on that. Every house that's in there.
Well, I can tell you, just off the top, every house in there is paying 10% more on their land value than because of the combination of roadway and the open space. The property in there is selling for 10% more than if it wasn't in there. The houses that are being built tend to be over $200,000 houses, which is higher than the average in town. So the town is making a lot more in taxes than the same number of houses that are necessarily just scattered throughout the town. But it's, to try to pin just how much of each property is increased because it has the open space behind it is very difficult to do, but we can take a look that house lots there sell for more than house lots in the middle of the field someplace. And we tax them based on what they can sell for. And we charge the current use based on what it can sell for. The current use isn't the same for every 2-acre piece of property in town. The taxes aren't the same for every 2-acre pieces in town. That development pays more taxes.
Would you like more information about the?
If you're gonna vote on it, I'm not
No,
gonna.
we don't have to vote tonight. We can get a little more
I
information.
don't buy it.
If you're not comfortable with it, you
I'm
need,
not.
Okay, we can certainly get more, show the deed, or I can't remember whether deed agreement.
would you
what
be
it
able to
was.
show him, how these, I kinda use this as a comparison, how houses are more valuable if they butt a golf course, cause they know nobody's gonna be building on the golf course? Is that like a similar example? And maybe show him, an assessment of a house that's not in this type of situation versus, like in my neighborhood, there's no open space, but everybody's got like 2.5 acres.
Well-
They know that, they know this land's never gonna get developed, they know nobody's gonna build a house there, so it makes their land values around that higher up.
Yes, but it's based on what the property has been selling for, and over the history of it, those properties sell for more than other, similar places in town sell for a similar price, but just, the base lot is 10% less if you just had a 2-acre lot off the road here, and you sold it, I would expect you'd sell it for 10% less than if you were selling the lot there. And that's just what the sales prices have been telling us.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I quite believe that.
Well, I can't, I can show you the numbers, I can show you what property sells for, but if you don't want to believe it, I can't do anything more than that.
Would you,
I'm done with it for tonight. You do whatever you wanna do.
Okay.
I'm not sold on it, I'm not.
I
do you
don't,
have any more questions on it?
Can wait for Rick to get some more information, I'm okay
Oh,
with that.
yeah, I'm fine. You want to table it for another meeting?
That's up to you. If you wanna
Well, I
vote on
don't
it, vote
I
on it.
want to make sure
Makes
we're
no
all on the
difference
same
to me.
table.
well,
I'm personally, as an individual, I'm good.
What, I'm more than happy to answer whatever question, but you gotta tell me what the question is. If it's a question about who gets the cut on it,
I think
that's
he's,
not my.
I think, I don't want to speak for my fellow selectmen, but I think, a member of this board was not happy how some things actually went down, and we got complaints from the residents, and,
But
but,
the cut?
I want to see the rules on open space too. Who can use it and who can't use it by doing this.
Okay, that has nothing to do with the value.
No, but I still want to see it.
Okay, my job is the value.
I
can
think
get
this
that.
is a Linda thing.
I can bring that, but to Rick's point, I actually talked to the, after our last discussion, I talked to the head of the homeowners association, and he was surprised that there were postings out there. He said they were removed.
Yeah, I don't believe they can post it, but it's.
They can't.
They
but
can't
it's-
by state
But
law.
it's the
That's what I'm
homeowner,
saying.
I believe that
He
when
was
I read it,
surprised.
it's the homeowners association to police it.
I'm all set.
Okay. All right, so,
I have 3 more assessings tonight, if you want to do it while Fred's here in case there are more questions.
yeah. All right, do you want to, okay, I'm ready to act on that one. Are you ready to act on that? You want to give it another week?
I'd like to give another week.
All right,
If
we'll
Rick
give
wants
another
to
week, so-
get his information.
Sure, we can do that.
Whatever you want to do, it's your choice.
Okay, so this, Rick will grab all the information. After the meeting, you can tell me if there's more. The next one is a land use change tax for Mr. Mark Lambert. And guys, there are 2 places to sign on these.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve, map 215, lot 24:1. Remove it from current use, 5.55 acres.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on this?
That's the Johnson land up there.
Okay.
Old Canterbury.
Okay, seeing none, all in favor of approving this, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 3-0. What else you got?
The next one is there was a error on one of the previous land use change taxes. This particular form is just to make sure we got the correct address to the right map and lot number.
You wanna move that one?
Yep. So this is, I'll move to, basically, we're changing the proper address for the proper map number. So this would be map 210, lot 66. And you need to say the address for 90 Pender Road.
Second. Okay, is there any further discussion on that one? Seeing none, all in favor of approving it, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 3-0 to approve it. As we let him sign it, and I'll kick it over to you. That one had 2 spots.
Mr. Wolf, if we find out that someone has cut more than that, we can charge a timber tax.
Well, can you charge him a timber tax if he doesn't really owe it? I mean, if he doesn't own the property, it's in cut. You know what I'm saying?
The
Who
whole
owns
thing was a mess.
the whole? I think his-
Whoever cut,
The guy that owns the development cut it. He said he still owned it at that time and it hadn't been turned over, so that's why he cut the timber off it.
I don't know.
got a little quagmire here, so we'll just.
I don't know just exactly where it was. A chunk of it was turned over quite some time ago.
What else you got?
That's what he got away with.
Oh, no, we can always send him a bill.
Look, last meeting, the board approved an administrative abatement at 8 Old Turnpike Road.
And
This
it
is-
just needs
this is the
signatures. It's already
documents,
been
yeah.
approved. Okay.
Do I need to move to sign this?
No,
Need to
it's
sign
already
it.
been approved.
Scott, I gave you a spreadsheet on that, but everything was different, so you couldn't,
Spreadsheet on this one?
on all of the assessments.
yeah,
but
I got
they
it.
were, they were all different, so.
Didn't we all each get one of these?
Yes, we did.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, I got one.
I got one too. All right.
That's all for assessing.
Thank you.
Take your time.
Have a good night. Have a good evening.
About 9:30.
Oh, you're like an hour and a half from here, aren't you?
2.
Well, you're in New Hampshire though, right?
Excuse me?
Are you in New Hampshire or Maine?
No, I'm in New Hampshire.
Yeah, but way up north, right?
Yeah.
Franklin?
Well, I'm closer to Canada than I am to here.
Oh,
Town do you live in? What town do you live in?
Oh, Jefferson.
okay.
Right.
All right, where I go? Okay. Fred Smith, unfinished business, credit card processing.
Yes.
So you got, I see that there's a thing here. Not a thing, but I did see in my packet, there's a document.
I'll break down. Yeah, we kinda had this one once.
Yeah, this is the same document that you guys had last time.
Okay. And you're just asking us to approve this document?
I'm asking for the Board of Selectmen to approve the town of Northwood to start accepting credit cards at this time.
At all the three places, or just, are we starting at the town offices first?
We thought about doing it piecemeal, office by office, but in the end, we decided if everybody was gonna be trained, we'll do it all at once.
No, I got a question, because I'm dealing with this at my regular job.
Mhm.
PCI compliance.
Yes.
Anybody that has access to the credit card machine or the vicinity of the area is supposed to sign a disclosure form, they're aware of it. So did you have everybody sign that?
It's not until I get the board's approval, and then the organization we chose, Heartland, they work closely with the company that will bring us into PCI compliance.
Okay.
Both,
I'm just making you aware, there's a lot of compliance issues.
I talked to them about it, and we're considered an extremely low risk.
Yeah, I know.
So, because, yeah, nobody's
But I
gonna
know, I'll give you an example. I got people walking through my office, like state police, because I'm in the same thing, that theoretically, they have to sign that because they in access to the machine. For example, the selectmen walk in that back room, we could technically supposed to be signing that if we have any access. Not even access to the machine, but if we're in the area where the machine's being used.
Yep.
I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah, this was, safety and compliance for this was a real concern for us, because we don't want to be the people that end up
So
giving
my
away credit card
question is if we roll this out, are you thinking about rolling it all out at once or by location?
It's going to be all at once.
Okay, and then you had a question about
I
that?
just, I thought that might have been too much at once, but I get your point too.
It's,
So,
when the folks
so the
come in
three,
to...
let me get this correctly. This 3 signatures pad would be 2 downstairs and 1 upstairs. Is that what your thing was? And then the
One
mobile
at-
readers, obviously the transfer station.
Yep. And then the receipt printer is upstairs, because they already have one downstairs.
Okay.
And the mobile reader has its own printer.
Well, they would have a receipt printer down at the transfer station.
It'd be
too.
on the printer.
Yeah,
It'd
it'd
be
be
the
on-
mobile reader has a printer in it.
It's something he can carry with him instead of having to go back and forth from the, say,
Yeah.
demo to the shop.
Yeah, it's like what they have at Hood. It's like just like.
somewhere. So did you have a document that you wanted to do that we sign after we approve this, or are you just looking for our approval?
I'm looking for approval to begin the process. As things come on board, I might need a PO to purchase things. But
So you're just asking, you're just asking our approval to
He
begin.
wants to start
All
the
right.
process.
This is a contract as well with Heartland, so I need the board's approval to begin this.
Begin the contract.
How much is the contract?
I mean,
Is that the
they're not
full-
charging us anything.
They're just charging us.
They're just
for
charging us for the equipment.
Okay, so you're asking permission tonight to go ahead and do this, and it looks like the total cost is gonna be about $4,800?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to allow the proposed credit card implementation and timeline to approve them to move forward with this?
I'll make a motion to approve the credit card implementation timeline for the amount of, do I need to say the amount too, or just the timeline?
Well, let's make a motion to approve the expenditure of 4,000, allow him to do that, but then I have a couple questions, but let's make a motion for discussion.
I'll make a motion,
And to
to
sign,
allow-
and to hire Heartland?
to hire Heartland and allow Mr. Gunther to expend $4,765 in the purchase for the credit card, equipment that will be needed.
Okay.
For discussion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, so before we go this, how was, the first question, and sorry, I should know this, but I probably don't know this. How did you decide you were gonna, hire Heartland?
So anybody that was a participant or that will be taking credit cards, such as Judy or the finance office, we sat down with Heartland, we sat down with our bank, with TD Bank, we sat down with 2 other processors, iCloud, and then I forget the other
So you
one.
talked to 3
yeah.
processing services.
Yep, we talked to 3 processing services.
And
We
who
talked
were,
to
was Heartland, who else?
iCloud and the people that do our, wait for it, Interware. We spoke with Interware too because we're using them downstairs for some software.
Okay.
This has been an 8-month process and we
No,
got
I'm not
input from-
questioning the timeline, I'm asking you, so when you talk to these other companies, how was this the cheapest, was this the best service? Just explain a little bit how this Heartland was selected.
All 3 were, well, no, that's not true. iCloud was, they were extremely more expensive. They had a lot of fees that were tacked onto this.
Okay.
Interware and Heartland were very similar. Interware, however, in terms of hardware, they would buy their hardware from Heartland and then sell it to us. So we skipped the middleman with that step. Also, Heartland is they're the direct processor. So Interware goes through Heartland and then goes to the bank.
So,
Again, we're skipping that middleman, we're going right to the bank.
okay,
Just
one more
in terms of
question though,
safety.
how much was that company? How could they compete if they have to use Heartland, how could they even bid on this, like, they had to be more expensive, right?
Interware was more expensive on their hardware, by double on some cases.
All right. Any other questions from the other board members?
Yeah, what's the percentage they charge us?
The town itself incurs no fees. The town of Northwood, we cannot pay fees per law.
Okay, my question is.
So their service is free to us?
That their service is free to us, but if Joe chooses to use a credit card with Judy downstairs, I pay a 2.99% convenience fee.
See, I'm not sure, all right, wait, I'm sorry, and you're not gonna be happy, but that's okay. I know at the state, we take credit cards, but state law, at the state, we're not allowed to charge a convenience fee. So for example, if the transaction's $40,
It's $40.
that's what the customer pays, $40, the customer, so we're eating a convenience fee. You know, like,
The state-
explain this to.
The state law, the state and the town laws, those are completely separate.
I know,
They're
but
completely
does-
different.
So
For the town, we cannot
Well-
eat those fees. Per RSA, we are not allowed to eat those fees.
okay, what's the RSA?
Don't have it with me, I'm sorry.
All right.
Now, again,
I'm a little, I deal with this at the state level, and I realize the town and the state are a little different. I'm not too comfortable without knowing the statutory authority if we're allowed to pass fees on to, the customers. To me, if I come in and I wanna use a credit card and the thing costs $50, I don't wanna pay $55. This is what happened, I'm just throwing, so I need to see the statutes that says we have the authorization, and I know they exist, I just would like a little more information on this.
Right.
But I'm like saying, I'm fine with convenience fees, I just wanna make sure we can legally do it.
And I guess my
100%
question is
legal.
what's the absolute, are we really gonna be up and running by April 1st?
Not now, because I'm making them get us more information.
No, you guys have kicked me back like 6 weeks now. That's the goal. I mean, that's whenever I personally do any kind of large thing like this, I try to set timelines. It could be back a couple weeks.
You know, if you just wanna send me the RSA.
It's, I don't have it with me, I'm sorry, but we spoke with the bank and
To read it too.
I'd have no doubt I don't have the number in my head, but there's no doubt that this is a fact. I will email it to you, though. I'll give it to the board.
So it's fact that the town can't, I'm not saying we eat it, but we can charge a surcharge, basically. The credit, well, we're not charging it, the credit card company. I'm just trying to
The credit,
understand.
we're not charging the fee. The credit card is charging it. I mean, just like using your MasterCard.
Yeah, so
Anywhere
when I go to Sears, and I use a credit card, I use my credit card, I pay the $40, whatever the thing is. As long as I pay it on time, it's $40. Then the credit card company hits Sears for a percentage of the sale. That's how they make their money.
Yep.
They don't hit the customer, though.
They don't hit the customer. When you use your credit card, you say.
Oh, it's a, yeah, okay, so bad example, bad example.
Who's paying the convenience fee?
The end user is paying the convenience fee,
Who's the end user?
which would be residents or whoever comes into town hall.
So unlike Sears, when you go into a store.
It was a bad example.
So it's like going to, like,
It's like when you go.
drawing money from an ATM, but that's not your bank.
No, it's
and
like when
have
you
to pay
buy
extra
concert
money.
tickets
Yeah,
at
That's what it is.
that's a better example.
That's what it
Meadowbrook.
is.
When you buy concert tickets at Meadowbrook,
Yeah.
and the concert tickets are $50, but then
surcharge.
when
Or-
you get it, there's a surcharge.
Or it's like you're almost late to pay your bill and you call and they say, hey, well, we'll take it, but we're gonna charge you $10 to pay over the phone. That's what it is, that's what it is.
Well, no, not quite, but.
Pretty much, that's what it sounds like to me.
No, it's like Sears saying, this is $40, but if you use your credit card, we're gonna charge you 42.
Oh, I hear you.
It's like, do you do this in New Hampshire where if you use a credit card at the gas station, they charge you a little bit more?
No, they charge you less usually.
Oh.
Like
In Michigan, they-
Cumberland's will charge you 10 cents less a gallon if you got a credit card, pay at the pump. You have to have the money in the
I know,
account.
we're getting a little off base here.
I mean, we can, there's nothing saying we can't put this off till next time. It's,
Well, I was just curious how they.
I'm all on board to take.
Yeah, I'm all on board. I just wanna know how the credit card gets their cut. Cause they don't do it out of the kindness of their heart.
Nobody's
it's just, yeah, the town of Northwood isn't paying, it's the resident or whoever's consuming is the payer.
All right.
So should I hold off on this or should?
Yeah, I'd like to know who's, and where the authority is that we can pass that cost on to them.
Right.
I just wanna make sure, I mean, I know it is, I just wanna know. All right, what else we got?
Minutes.
Okay, does anybody wanna make a motion to approve the minutes for January 24th?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for January 24th as written.
Second.
Okay, anybody have any, did they think they were pretty accurate, any,
Looked fine to me.
looked okay? Okay, with that being said, all in favor of approving the minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. We did the assessing documents already. Somebody want to make a motion to approve the manifest?
All right. Motion to approve final payroll manifest number 4 in the amount of $79,305.10.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Manifest is approved. Okay,
I have some POs.
purchase orders.
Yep, POs, this is Interware Development, this is for Clerk Works with Judy Pease.
Okay, motion to accept Interware Development in the amount of $5,989.20.
I'll second it for conversation.
Do we pay that all at once, or is there a monthly fee?
It's a fee. This is a fee, it's a blanket for that fee.
So you just pay a flat fee per year? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Any other question?
What is it for?
Interware, support for 2017 clerk work. I'm
gotta do
guessing
with-
it's back up to.
Is it car registrations?
Taxes.
Taxes.
So it's for taxes.
Yeah,
Town clerk taxes.
okay. Are you good?
I'm all set.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's approved 3-0.
Per request, this is a blanket for legal services.
Blanket PO for legal services for Mitchell Municipal Group in the amount of $5,000.
Do I have a second?
Yes,
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yep.
What meeting is that for, or what?
It's a blanket.
I know
so-
it's a blanket, but
Oh, is it, he's asking if it's specific to a specific case, so,
right.
No.
Because did we have a different attorney recently represent us that normally doesn't represent us?
no, he works for Mitchell and Bates. That attorney does work for Mitchell Bates, he's not a normal attorney, though.
Well, that's a question I had because,
This doesn't go to that. That guy, he was a fill-in for us because our regular attorney was out.
Well, he's doing another municipality.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
so he does work for our law firm, or they
Yes.
just subbed it out to him is what they did?
Yeah, he was filling in for our guys.
Subbed it out, basically.
Yeah.
So wait, he doesn't work for Mitchell and Bates?
He works for Mitchell, but he was basically the fill-in.
That's not a sub.
He's his own attorney.
Yeah, they I mean,
the bar
he
thing.
contracts with them, so he's,
Okay, so he's that's all he's trying to ask, is a subcontractor, or does he work for Mitchell and Bates?
he's subcontractor, we'll say.
All right. Are you, okay? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And one more blanket PO, this is for the, diesel fuel for the fire trucks.
Blanket PO for Irving Oil for diesel / gas for trucks for the fire department in the amount of $7,500.
Is that for what, a quarter, or that's probably only for a quarter, right?
Yeah, that's not all of it.
For the fire truck? They burn more than $7,500 in a year?
Oh, yeah, easy.
That's for all of them. That's not just the
That's
fire
not
truck.
so-
That's for the ambulance, the fire truck.
It's for all the fire trucks.
The fire trucks don't burn much. The ambulance must be the most of it. Fire trucks hardly ever go out.
Actually, every time there's a car accident, they go out.
They don't burn that much fuel.
Okay.
Did I get a second? I don't know if I did.
Yeah, you seconded it, didn't
Yeah, I second the discussion.
you? Okay. Any further discussion?
Guess not.
Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 I don't know how much fuel we burn in the year on the average.
Well, I think if you look at the fuel line in the budget,
I should say.
it's, what we budget for them, and this should be, usually in the presentation, it says how many gallons they used.
That's what I was looking for. I was looking to see how much we actually had in there right now. We have $10,000 budgeted for diesel fuel.
That's more than half.
So they're putting in
little
for
more
like
than
three
that.
quarters?
Yeah,
It's
it's a
like
little more than that,
three-quarters
about
of it.
three-quarter.
Whatever, it's fine. As long as they're within our budget.
Yeah, they're in there.
You got any more POs?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Next on the agenda is,
I'm
you
gonna
got
try to
any,
get it while it's cheap.
you getting any, well, it doesn't matter, because we pay as we go. They go with the, all right. Any other signatures?
Yes. We have one for, let me see, what's this thing called? Wait for it, the 67441 sign off for property tax map 113, 1455 Baker Avenue.
55 Baker.
This particular property, they went through zoning, planning, looked at it, and they got all of their approvals. They
Oh,
also,
this is the agreement,
agreement
in
release.
case we can't get trucks down there or something?
Yeah, this particular group, they have a agreement between them to maintain that road, make sure it's plowed out. So they did what they should have.
Okay. So we're just basically making a motion to sign this?
Yeah.
All right, making a motion to sign this agreement for Northwood Lake Association?
No,
Oh, that's what it says here, sorry, my
No,
bad.
right here.
Map
Map
Map 113,
113,
lot 14, 55 Baker Ave.
Second.
Okay,
I was just reading that.
all right. Any more discussion?
None.
Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. You're aye too, right?
Yep.
3-0, okay.
We had a gentleman come in, he paid off his tax agreement with us and repurchased his property, and that's what this is, signing his property back to him.
Making a motion to accept,
Well, no, you're making a motion to sign a deed with no covenants.
make a motion to sign a deed with no covenants for map 122, lot 62.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and he's paid back all his back taxes.
He's paid his taxes, he pays everything he owes us.
Okay.
I think it came
Who's
to,
current?
yeah, he's up to date.
Okay.
He borrowed some money and took care of it.
All right.
$13,000,
Nice, is that the guy that was been in here?
No.
No, not that guy. Another guy, huh?
different
All
guy.
right.
All right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so we can sign it. Any other signatures?
Two more, yes. This is from Dave Ballion. This is the 2017 Schedule of Assistance. It's on the back page.
Motion to accept 2017 schedule of general assistance?
Second?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is this is for people if they apply for assistance, is that how I understand this? And this is what the maximum they could get if they apply?
Yes.
Not what we give them, it's just what they can apply for.
Yeah, it's at Dave's discretion.
And how, I guess, I don't even know if I can ask this, how many people actually use this? The assistance?
To be honest with you, I don't know our numbers. It's been down over the
You
years.
can get the numbers, you just can't get,
I was
well,
just a question. I mean,
You
I'm
can-
okay with it.
You can get the numbers of how many, but you can't get into like, because we're the appellate, if there's an issue, they can appeal it to us.
Honestly, DJ, if I had to guess, I would say 100, maybe 150, and it's usually very minor.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay.
All right, last thing, I just recently learned that there was a bill in the House Bill 413, that proposed to reinstate the 15% state
It was
contribution.
up to 15%,
Up
right?
to- It was 15% last I saw, they said it could cut it back.
Well, now it was 15%, now it's nothing, this is to, they can go up to 15, but more than likely it won't be, it'll be somewhere in between.
To reinstate the state contribution, yeah. I drafted a letter, if the select board would like to sign it, this is urging our representatives to Concord to support House Bill 413, and,
Did you put it on, the official letterhead, or just this kind of,
no, it's on, I mean,
okay.
and to urge them to vote yes on this particular bill.
Well,
What impact is this gonna have on,
Just
state taxes?
on state taxes,
Well, I gotta pay state taxes too,
minimal for
are you
you.
sure?
Yeah, pennies on the thousand.
Because I saw the fiscal impact statement, and a lot more than little.
How much was it? Pennies. Pennies.
Yeah, pennies.
For Northwood, though, we'd save, just the town alone would save $26,000 on its tax bill from what the town taxes.
Okay, is there any discussion from the selectmen?
I guess reading this, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It says, "To the honorable representatives for the town of Northwood, New Hampshire," then it says, "We, the selectmen of the town of Northwood." So it sounds like we're writing to ourselves. It
No,
says, "To,"
the honorable representatives of the town of Northwood would be like, our two state reps?
all right, it just sounds like we're
Mr.
talking to ourselves.
Stone and,
Ms. Bailey?
All right,
Von Bailey.
so we're sending
we're sending it to them.
to
I get
them,
it.
they're the representatives, we're the selectmen. to hope that they support. We're writing a letter that we would like you, it doesn't mean they will, but we can say we would like you to support this.
That's all I have.
You got it? You also? Okay, all in favor of signing it, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have
I'm gonna
it.
sign, I'm gonna sign my own. I don't care about signing that. I just wanna sign my own.
Sign your own copy, huh?
Looks about the same.
I do, I got one too.
Go ahead.
I said you signed your own copy.
Okay, any more signatures?
That's it.
I
Okay.
did sign my own.
All right,
I thought we were
all right. Okay, Rick, you got selectmen, individual selectmen's report? No? DJ, would you have any comments you'd like to
I'm
make?
okay today.
All right,
You?
I'm okay.
I would like to make a comment now that I
Oh,
think
no,
about
you missed your shot.
Time's passed.
Go
it. I
ahead.
was gonna applaud the highway guys for doing a good job in the last 2 storms.
Okay,
That's it.
I second that, cause
Yeah,
I've heard
yeah.
that around.
I was pretty happy, except when he applied my mailbox back.
I told him to do that.
Yeah, I know you did. I
Just
think
following
he's doing it
orders.
on purpose.
They gotta get some mailboxes, you know, they get out of
I'll
practice.
just blow it back on the street again.
That's why they do it.
Go get him. All right, Joe, did you have anything?
Very, very briefly, we got a report back. I know you wanted to talk E2. I don't know if you still want to do that.
E2?
E2 signage over the bridge.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, so what is the weight limit on that bridge?
Right now, it's E2, which is at the maximum 73,000 pounds. It can go over, I'm sorry, 99,000 pounds.
Right, one of the things, that's if it was in
Sherburne Brook.
E2 though, if it's E2.
That's in good shape.
That's in good shape.
How about the shape it's in?
So
I mean,
my-
it's posted
okay,
E2.
so what, I actually asked this question.
Okay.
So it's E2, okay, we're trying to preserve this bridge so that the people that actually need to get there, in and out of there. So my concern is, I guess, and I asked this question, I know we can we limit that to a certain tonnage?
Yeah, that's, the Board of Selectmen have that right to,
So my question is, one of my concerns is what would happen if a 10-wheeler loaded with loam went over that?
With 73,000 pounds, triaxle, you know, our big dump truck at work, we're registered for 73,000.
Yeah, I'm saying though that's the bridge that we gotta replace that is,
It's falling apart.
it's red listed, it's falling apart.
Yep.
So my question is what should we set the weight limit for on that? What do we want going over that?
It's gonna be a hard thing to do because it comes from 2 towns.
it's, yeah.
I mean,
Where you gonna post the road, Bull Lake Road or right at the Rock? You know?
We'll
then
post-
they gotta go all the way around through Stratford like we talked about before, if they're heavier than what the bridge is posted for.
Oh, the
so.
bridge goes down, they're gonna have to go around anyway, so.
You
That's
could,
fine. If that's the way you look at it, that's
I
fine.
mean, my point is you post one at the beginning of the streets.
and right at the, we'd have to post it at the
We
bridge.
post
too.
one at the town line, and we'd have to post the other one at the beginning of Bull Street.
Well, if someone goes through it and they're loaded, maybe their insurance will pay for part of the bridge.
No, they won't.
Because
It's red
it's red listed.
listed. So, my only point is, and I was just bringing it up,
It was worth a try.
should we post it for less, or, I mean, because there was concerns at town meeting that people are concerned about the thing last until we can fix it.
To add to this, and I think, yes, we should, the bridge was actually downgraded. I got the report
So-
just this week on a
From-
scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being your bridge is in the water. Yeah, we're sitting at a 3 right now for this, it's rated serious in
So,
condition, so I think we should post.
so which, did you talk to DOT about a recommendation?
I pulled up E2 information about the spans and the weight limits.
Yeah.
We could do a triaxle, 55,000, 65,000 pounds. 55 or 65,000 pounds.
The problem is, how are we gonna prove when the guy's overloaded? Are we gonna run him over a scale? You know, we can post it, but is it only as good as what the sign says? We don't have any
I
scales.
suppose,
for our
I
police.
suppose if you post it,
And he breaks it
and
and
they
he's
break
overweight,
it and
then
they're overweight.
Well, that's a good point.
That's what would be the
That's a
catch.
good
Because,
point.
because when, I know, we don't have the scales, but if they go over it and the bridge actually collapses and the truck's sitting in the brook.
and they're
Then
overweight.
we
they're
could weigh 'em at
overweight.
that point.
Yeah.
Well, the state would probably weigh him anyway.
Oh, there's 3 scales in town. You got Harding's, you got Lambert's, there's
No,
plenty of
yeah,
scales.
I think,
I
well,
think the state would probably.
It's a registered scale. It's a registered weight.
Okay.
DOT accepts it.
okay.
If DOT hauls guys over Harding scales before they did me years
So,
ago.
so what do you do, post it for like 10 ton or what?
10 ton would be 20,000 pounds.
That ain't much.
I can't go over empty. Our truck would be 28,000 pounds empty.
That's a
We don't want your
triaxle.
truck going over it.
That's,
Oh, your pickup truck, but not one of those big trucks.
This is gonna
We're
add-
Cut across Tasker Hill and rip that road up.
What?
But then we're gonna cut across Tasker Hill and rip that road up.
Aren't you going across Tasker Hill now?
No, we're gonna drop, going that way.
Another thing this is gonna do is gonna add expenses on anybody that's working on a home in that area as far as cement, as far as lumber trucks. So it's gonna be a little bit of a burden, but, you know, where do you draw the line?
All those trucks gonna be working on the Marigold Beach project, they'll have to go all around.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
about 65,000 is the top end of triaxle.
55,000?
That's pretty heavy if you got a broken
65.
bridge.
65,000 for triaxle?
Yep, that's the top end for E2.
According to the state rules.
Yeah, that's a RSA 266.
We're registered 73.
Triaxle or 4-axle?
Triaxle.
You just gotta
This
go
is
faster to
E2
cross it.
rated. Yeah.
Just gotta go faster to cross the bridge.
You know, I want to post it for a reasonable amount. Could you maybe talk to some other, maybe give DOT a call? And I mean, I don't want to come up with some random number. Oh, let's make it 8 ton or.
I think they got a random number there, what he just said.
Yeah, yeah, I can talk to DOT, I'll talk to their bridge inspector, and
It's a 3.
it's a 3, it's been downgraded.
That's a recommendation for 3 is 55,000, what you said, right?
No, they.
Well, that's if it was good,
Yeah, that's-
right? That's if it's good.
Yeah.
That's if it was like perfect condition, right?
I guess we're in trouble then.
Yeah, I can talk to inspectors. Yeah, I expect them to tell me that should leave it at posted E2 though, because that's what they're saying it is.
How can, well, if you posted E2,
You said 99,000 to E2, right?
Top end, 99,000.
oh, so they're gonna say your bridge is a 3, but you should post it for 99,000.
The bridge is currently posted for a maximum of 99,000 pounds.
Yeah, but we don't want 99. I mean, hypothetically. So you're saying if you call them, they'll say you should keep it posted at 99,000?
That's what I'm saying. I just got a report that says signage is okay for 99,000 pounds. So I'll go back and ask them how much, and they'll say,
So if this is, so if you call, I guess let's discuss this a second.
Okay.
So you call them and say, you're saying we gotta replace that bridge. We're not gonna have the money till next year.
Hopefully.
But
yeah, hopefully.
you're saying we can like post it for whatever we
You
want?
can post it for whatever you want. You're the selectman.
All right, 8 ton.
Eight.
Why are you laughing?
That's a little low.
Can't go over it with your camping trailer and a
Yeah.
pickup
Yeah, you
truck.
can you? How much am I?
My trailer weighs
How much is your
14,500 pounds
How
without the
much is your
truck.
pickup truck?
Probably
2,000 pounds. a ton.
7,000 pounds, full-wheel drive, 3/4 ton.
So you can go over it. It's
all
only 8 ton.
14,000-pound trailer behind it. I wouldn't be able to go over it with my camping trailer.
Well, no, because the trail's a
big
different
trailer.
thing. Is it long? I don't know.
People got big
Plow trucks
boats.
can't go over it when it's fully weighted.
What?
The plow trucks can't go over that bridge when they got a plow wing and a fully load of sand salt on it.
Well, maybe they should go around. I don't know. I mean, you're trying to preserve the bridge.
Well, I think
It's
municipal,
okay for the town vehicles, but not for the guy who wants to make a living.
yes. Same with fire trucks,
I
ambulance,
get, well,
plows.
yeah, but if we don't plow it, you can't get through anyways. So if we think about it, it's like,
Where did the 55,000-pound thing come in?
So what does a
You-
plow
you said
truck
that.
weigh
I thought you said
loaded?
the state had a recommendation of
Roughly.
55,000
That's
for
what
some classification.
no, it's E2. That's what those are rated, E2. So it's whatever the E2's rated.
That's for a triaxle.
You gotta be posted 20,000 pounds.
So if you like set it at like 30,000 pounds, that's still
under what they said.
It's
I think
way
it was
under.
like 6 wheels, the regular dump truck can haul like 44,000.
Yeah.
You know?
But if we were to set it so like you couldn't go over,
How much is,
say,
how much
say
is
you
that
would only go
triaxle,
over
how much
with a
does that
6-wheeler
triaxle
empty.
weigh empty?
He just.
You would have set it at that. So in other words, you could go
28,
over it empty.
call it 28,
So
like
say you could
27.
go over it empty, but not full. You could still at least do. You could still work.
Yeah,
Correct.
one way you take in hour longer and the other way you take you shorter. If you gotta
You have
go
to
the
come
other
home
side
empty.
the bridge,
You gotta come home empty, basically.
you have to go all the way to
Come
Ball
home empty
Lake
and leave
and come
empty.
around.
I'm like 14, 15 tons empty.
Why don't you give us, come up with a recommended amount?
So you have to post it right down here, at this intersection, right? Right before
Yeah.
the road starts?
Should be.
Yeah, we'll put up big signs to
It's
say.
kinda
what-
late when you get up there.
Yeah.
Then you gotta go around Sherburne Hill Road, come back out at the ridge or turn around somebody's driveway.
It did 20 ton.
Average drive.
Probably is what they 20 ton would be like 40,000 pounds.
I'll see what DOT says. I'll tell them, look, we just have concerns about this and see what they,
Well, you got the bridge saying 3,
that's it for me.
okay. Do we have any non-public tonight?
Yeah,
Okay.
two.
So we got non-public, but before we go into non-public, is there anybody from the public for public comment? Oh, go ahead.
They're leaving.
I noticed the Fillmore's hauling winter sand in now. Did the town switch over contracts for the guy from Loudon, or did they haul him for Loudon, or anybody fill me in on that? Fillmore's been in the dump for the last 2 weeks hauling in the winter sand.
I know they brought in a load this last week, and that's because the other gentleman, Parent Sand, he wasn't hauling, he just wouldn't bring us sand. Time before, he said it's too cold to run my trucks, of all things. We're sticking with Parent when they bring it, when we can get it. He's slow on the draw, and then sometimes he just refuses to deliver. So,
Wasn't he just here yesterday or something with sand too?
the last one I know was,
Is he the one we have
That's what-
contract with?
there is no
No.
contract, we just asked for the
Just buy
lowest
as we
bidder.
go?
Lowest bidder. We're sticking with the contract, not contract, but the lowest guy, just because we asked for prices, he gave us the best price. But his service has been not
Okay,
as good as we may want.
all right. Follow-up?
So he's really not holding up to his contract, so why are you sticking with him?
Again, it's not a contract, but we went out and we asked everybody for the best price, and he does give us the best price. But his service is lacking. So in between these snowstorms where we can't wait to get sand, we have to get it from somewhere, so,
That's why Fillmore was in.
yeah, that's why Fillmore was there.
All right, any further any other public comment? Okay, thanks. Nobody's here for non-public, right? Okay. Can I get a motion to go into non-public under RSA, RSA 91A:3, A and C?
No, I told you stick with it, pay off. Hopefully it didn't cost you too much.
So moved.
Okay, I'm gonna do, I got a second, I'm gonna do a roll call. Rick Wolf, how do you vote?
Yes.
I also vote yes, DJ.
Yes.
So we're now in non-public session. All right, can I get a motion to come out of non-public?
Motion to come out of non-public?
Second.
Okay,
Motion to seal the
okay,
minutes?
no, hold on. Oh, okay, I'm gonna do a roll call. Rick?
Yes.
Okay, DJ?
I suppose, yes.
Yes, and I also vote yes to come out of non-public, so we're now out of non-public. Could I get a motion to seal the minutes?
Motion to seal the minutes?
Second.
Second.
All in favor of sealing the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and, based on, you gotta make a motion to.
I make a motion for a tax abatement for the amount of $1,631 for map 221, lot 56.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? None? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I just don't see a place to sign.
No, I'll bring
this
the
is
actual
what-
abatement from the assessor next.
I had something that came up when I was looking for my mail. And I just got a question, and I think it's public related. So I got this census package. So I'm assuming, is this something that's like official that we need to do something with? I mean, it is addressed to me. So I'm wondering, is this something you could take a look at, and if I need to, do something, or we as a town? I think they just sent it to me because I'm the chairman, but I think they were asking, oh, correct. So right now, but we might want to update this because we don't know who's going to be chairman, after the election, and we might want to update it for who the new chairman is. And, you know what I'm trying to say? So if you could take a look at this. Thank you. But I think we need to either update that and send it back to them. All right, and then, that's all I got. Does anybody have anything else? With that, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second. Oh, you, I
Motion
thought
to
you were making the
That's all right.
motion.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, we're now adjourned.